do me a favor. You remember how to slate it?
I do. What's up, everyone? My name is Sean Mann. This is LA Year One.
My man.
What's up, brother?
All right. So, tell me about your first year in LA.
First year in LA, 2013. It'll be 11 years in April, I want to say. So I had moved down here with a friend of mine. He wanted to do fashion. I came for acting and film. We couldn't find a place anywhere. Thought it would be, we had looked like way deep out in the valley, and then we finally found a studio in Koreatown. We thought it would be a good idea for two grown men to share a studio because we're like, well, if we get into this spot, then we'll get sick of each other and that'll make us work harder to like move things forward quicker. So, long story short, that didn't end up working out. He ended up going home like 2 weeks later, and I was just like, all right, I'm here. Here I am, LA. And so your first year in LA is just kind of like, first of all, just accepting the fact that you're here. I think it takes a while for that to sink in. So I got settled into the studio. It's on Normandy and Wilshire still there. It's like a super old building.
Well, at least you're able to get a place.
I was lucky. Because it was not looking good. I mean, we had saw some really, really tore down places before that. And then also just not coming with like, I don't even remember how we got approved because I don't think I had pay stubs and I don't think he had pay stubs, but somehow we managed to get in. And my first year was just a lot of just like learning the city, getting parking tickets, way more parking tickets than I can count, and finding a way to like support myself,
How were ways that you were supporting yourself in the beginning?
When we had moved down here, we wanted to, it was actually a really cool project. So we found somebody in San Francisco in the Bay Area where we're from, who was making these recycled journals. He would make these journals out of recycled books and paper. So all of the old books that like a library or a bookstore would throw out, he would take them, hardcover ones, and take out the pages and put blank pages in there. And so every journal was unique. And we were like, oh, that was super cool. So what we did was we branded it. We called it the Common Thought Journal. And on the inside of it, we had stamped it with it said, "Dear beloved, make the life that you want. With love comes the commonwealth, reflection, gratitude, achievement." And that was the stamp. And so we used to go, like, I basically, because like I said, he went home like within a month. Like, I went to the farmer's market on Fairfax, and I used to sell those.
Farmer's market on Fairfax. What part of LA is that for those who are listening?
Oh, right. It's at Fairfax High School. I guess it's technically West Hollywood.
Gotcha.
And every Sunday, it's like a real big, like, it's a popular market. They've got clothing, they've got antiques, they've got stuff like journals, house stuff, whatever it is.
I'm glad you're mentioning this, the farmer's market. I don't think we've talked about the farmer's market before on any of these prior episodes. And
yeah,
the farmer's market in LA is a big
thing.
It's
a staple. It's like part of the culture of LA, on the weekends. It's like, and I also feel like because there's one every day of the week if you look,
I think it is. I think it is set up that way because I believe the farmer's market in Old Town Pasadena is on Thursdays.
Yeah.
And I know the Grove has one, but I think it's also on Sundays. It's either Sunday or Saturday. I forget.
Yeah. Yeah. There's one. I mean, you can literally go to any part of town and find it. So I was just at that one. And then Lyft had just come to LA. And so at that time, you could, they were paying you a minimum hourly, whether you got rides or not, because nobody even knew really what it was. And that's the time where they had the big pink mustaches in the front of the cars.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, those were the two things that I was doing to kind of like keep myself afloat.
Being a Bay Area native and then moving to LA, you know, me also being a Bay Area native,
Yep.
I'm fully aware of a lot of the stigma that LA has to it, or
Yeah.
how the Bay looks at LA at
Yeah.
times.
Yep.
What were your preconceived notions of LA before coming out here?
Everything everything that you are programmed with in the Bay Area in terms of your how you look at LA, all of it. It's fake, it's this, it's that, no one is real, it's whatever, all of those things. And that actually held me back a lot. Like I tell people all the time, I was like, it took me 3 years just not to hate LA, let alone, like be open to it. But that's because I was coming in with that preconditioning, you know.
So you're saying you were looking for it, and so you found it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
But
what?
I think what really really oddly helped me, because I only knew one person that I'd gone to high school with that had lived down here, but we never really saw each other because our schedules just kind of didn't align. But just having conversations with all of these random people through being a Lyft driver helped me so much. Um, I didn't clock it at the beginning because I was still that preconditioning was my operating system basically at the time.
And you're probably also in the mode like, hey, you got to get it
Absolutely. My
right.
thing was, but like I remember when I left, my dad was like, "Oh, you moved to LA? You'll be back in 6 months." And that just I was just like, I can't go back. I can't go back. I can't go back. And yeah, it was very much just like stay afloat, sustain, get into whatever classes or whatever you need to do to just like push things forward as fast as you can. But then you realize like you can only do so much, and things are going to move at the pace that they're going to move at.
Because I would imagine that most of your passengers, your Lyft passengers, were not the stereotypical LA folks that you heard about.
I got everything.
Right.
I got everything in that car. Everybody came through, the stereotypes, the non-stereotypes, foreigners, everything. That
It's
was I did, because I did that for years. I mean, I really fully got off of those apps probably like in terms of driving, and I was doing that full time for a long time. I did like 10,000 rides, probably close to. And that was I call it, that's my master's in people.
but also getting to know the lay of the land,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What was that turning point where you start looking at Lyft a little differently? Meaning, it sounds like Lyft turned out to be a gift for you, in terms of getting to know the people in LA and what LA truly is, and helping you shed what you thought of it before even coming into it.
Yeah.
What was the point where you realized that you needed to do a bit more listening?
I still feel like I need to do more listening.
Yeah.
I talk too much.
Hmm.
I don't shut up, you know. Uh and but what I'm still grateful for during that period of my life, because it wasn't easy, was that it exposed me to different parts of this city, and it also exposed me to different parts of mindsets, and how everybody I vividly remember one of the people I gave a ride to was a therapist. And I said, "What's that like? Like, why do you do that? Like, why do you want to listen to everybody's shit, for a living?" And she said that every every person that I talk to, it's like entering a new universe.
Mm.
And she's like, so it never gets old. And so that was one of those things where I was like, and that interaction, I would have never gotten that point of view had I not been in that place in that time.
is going back to what you will find what you want to see in a person.
Absolutely.
So allow them to show you who they are, because that's when you're able to find something new.
Yeah. You'll find what you want to see in life. That's what
Hey,
that taught me.
let's talk a little bit more. Let's talk about your artistic growth in that first year. So first off, what happened with that project? What happened with the book?
Oh, it wasn't sustainable. I
Uh,
wasn't gonna make, and like I only had a finite amount. I think I still have a few somewhere in a box somewhere in storage, but it just, I wasn't gonna make rent selling journals. At least I that's what I thought at that time. Because like when you're here, especially for people that are moving here, like you're here to do something. So everything that you're doing that's outside of that is taking time and energy away from that. At least in it, the way that I thought, right? So when I was in that process of like setting things up every Sunday, setting up my booth, bringing my stuff out, doing all of that. Some days selling stuff, some days not. I mean, that's precious hours. You know what I mean? That's precious hours. That at least that I thought of like that. But if I had taken it and maybe, tried to scale it and yeah, who knows? But that's not, I always tell myself like this ain't what I came here for, you know?
mm, you made me think of need and want.
Yeah.
I know you also direct,
Yeah.
and I say, as directors, we have when we're shooting our projects, and even in the day, we have the shots we need to get.
Right.
Then we have what we want to get.
Mm-hmm.
Now we can live on getting the shots we need. We
Right.
we need, you know, we can live without getting the ones that we want.
Yep.
But it's also like, when do we get what we want? Because you have to make those hard choices oftentimes when we're talking lower budget things. Even we deal with it in a bigger budget as well.
Mm.
But that need and want in your first year is quite the balancing act, because were you more focused on what you needed or what you wanted?
I still focus more on what I need more than what I want. Because for me, what that allows me to do is that it really makes me ask myself, what is needed? What do I absolutely need to do? I need to have food, water, and shelter, right? Everything else is I can look at that from a point of, okay, like what am I'm willing to compromise this for this, right? So for example, uh I think one of the most underestimated things for a lot of artists in LA is keeping your uh, expenses, especially when you first get here. So that's why we got that studio. We're like, let's keep our expenses low. Let's split the studio because that's going to allow us to put our resources, which are not infinite, because, neither of us were made of money. We can put that into our craft or the thing that we moved here for. So because of that, you can say, all right, like I was able to take all of the classes that they say you should take or you need to take when you come here,
Mhm.
and I was able to further my craft. And so it's delayed gratification. So I still look at it that way. I still look at, do I need this or do I want this? And then it comes down to how disciplined am I? If I want it and I'm still, whatever, spending time, money, resources on it, then okay, maybe my discipline wasn't that strong that day or that week or that month or whatever it is. But I still very, very much operate like that.
which way does it swing more? So I know that you said it swings more so towards what you need,
Mhm.
right? But does it increasingly swing a bit more to what you want, or does it stay the same? Or does your needs continue to grow?
I think now, like, certain needs in certain categories continue to kind of, that list continues to grow. I won't live in the same environment, today that I lived in 10 years ago. Uh, I don't need to maintain certain relationships that I felt like I needed to do before. I don't need to put myself, not put myself, I should say, but like I'm more intentional. I'm more intentional about what I need, because then that will help me. I think once you really narrow that down, then you can be more selective about your wants.
Right. Because as we nurture our needs more, we are creating more time and more
Yeah, more
space
space.
for our wants, but are we remembering our wants and not getting entangled in our needs?
Yeah, I mean, I think that probably is that's a case by case basis.
Yes.
I look at, today, like for example, like especially because I had gone through those years of just like waking up at the ass crack of dawn to go drive people for, what was basically pennies on the dollar when you take out all the expenses. I, from that, learned, I was like, oh, I want to be time and location independent, which then, that morphed into like what my business is now, my production company, which allows me to do that, allows me to say, okay, I'm going to wake up when I want to wake up. I'm going to go to sleep when I want to go to sleep, and I'll answer to me.
How did you get to that point?
So when I got here, I noticed that there was a Los Angeles, at least within the Hollywood space, it's a very fragmented culture. It's very much who sent you, right? So you have this huge land of all of these people who want to be creatives, but they don't know each other, right? So let's say I'm a director, you're a cinematographer, but unless we got connected through someone, we would never meet. So I wrote a script and I made an explainer video for a social marketplace where creatives could connect. And I was going to call it Crewtopia,
Mhm.
because it's a place, a utopia where you could find your crew,
Right.
your creative crew. So I made this 2.5 minute explainer video, and it's like animated. And I didn't end up making Crewtopia because obviously that's a startup that would have required so much, But friends of mine who were starting their own businesses and other startups, they saw it and they were like, "This is cool. Can you make this for us? Something like this for us?" And so that kind of had a domino effect. And so I started doing that for people, and more people saw it. And then from there, I just started kind of getting clients. And so what that taught me is it's like film adjacent. So it allowed me and has taught me how to be a more efficient storyteller, because with an explainer video, you got to get your point out in 60 seconds, 60, 90 seconds,
Mhm.
And so from that, I was able to make my production company, Blue Star Media. And so that's allowed me to have time, autonomy over my time and my location, because also I wanted to be able to get to auditions whenever they came up. Oh, Monday at 1:30, whatever, Tuesday at 11 a.m. Like I could make all of that. That was all pre-pandemic, before everying was a self-tape.
Yeah.
Now everything is just a self-tape. Um so yeah, that's kind of how that started.
That transition that you just mentioned, where how auditions changed
Yeah.
to in person and more so towards the self tape
Yeah.
world, how's that been for you?
Um it definitely takes away the human element, I feel like, with casting directors, because another thing I realized, and this is only something that I think that you can learn by kind of going through it, is that during that, at least that period of time, when you walked into that room, obviously you're there to do a job, and obviously you're there to be a solution. They have a problem, and you are a potential solution, but you're really just like working with people. And so when I stopped like being like, I'm going to be this serious, I need to be in this, so, being so precious about it, and being just more present in the room of like, hey, you're a person and I'm a person and we're both just trying to do our job, it just became a lot more fun. But then now with self tapes, like you get this notice and you get these sides. And then you just are like, all right, like, let's give this a shot. And then you send it off and you don't get any feedback and it just goes into the abyss and you don't know if people see it or not. And then on top of that, you're setting up your whole, your self tape kind of whatever, whether it's in your place or you go somewhere else, you have to figure that out. Whereas as opposed to before, like you're just like, oh, I'll be here at this, this place, this time.
Are there, in doing self tapes, are there new ways for you to challenge yourself?
Yeah.
To evolve as an artist? And what are those?
So I tell myself now that if I don't get it within 3 takes, then I'm not prepared.
Mm.
If I get something and if I work on it and, I'm reading with a friend, whether it's on Zoom or in person, if I don't get it within 3 takes, then I'm not prepared.
Is that not limiting yourself?
No, I think it's disciplining.
But unnecessary pressure.
No, because at the end of the day, if I don't get it in 3 takes, that doesn't mean I'm not going to send it in. That just means I'm not prepared.
Right.
But
how much are you in it? Like in the piece, in the present, when there's a number counting down?
The number for me has nothing to do with the work.
So you're able to separate it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
You go in, you do your prep work, and you get yourself ready because if you're on set, you're not, hey man, I need 100 takes. What? It's 200 people looking at you.
Right.
Nah, bro, you ain't the star. You know what I mean? So, it's accountability, it's craft, it's discipline, And also on top of that, like, that person they're not obligated to give you hours of their life. Your reader, they have other things to do, So it's also just like, when you put it like that, it's also just like respecting the other person's time. If I hit you up, hey man, I know you got a million things to do today, but I can't find a reader. Can I come over here and do a tape? You're fine. Okay, cool. You'd be a good friend.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna do it. But if I'm sitting here 2 hours later, we ain't got this, you can be like, bro, what are we doing?
Yes. And I imagine the thing that would just help you stay with it again is just that it sounds like you just have the ability just to stay present, to stay in it.
You have to.
Right.
That's that 10,000 hours, you have to.
I give some pushback on that 10,000 hours.
I mean, it's expression, whatever it is. It's just like, I guess it's just like, I think I've done it enough times now where it's just like, all right, here's your sides, do it. Okay. Like.
Right. That it's just that the 10,000 hours thing. I remember first year in film school hearing that, it was just like, I don't know about that. And then that was also too, around the same time, everyone kept saying, the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over and expect different results, which turns out not to be the fucking definition of insanity. So all I learned is so many people don't know the true definition of insanity.
Yeah. No, that's true. You're absolutely right about that.
But it's amazing how someone would say something to catch fire, and we don't quite do the
Like,
research
is
of it.
that right?
Right. People
Yeah.
just say it with enough confidence and you just go ahead and follow it. Something I was thinking about, like 2013, and here we are sitting in 2024. A big thing that changed in that time span is social media
Mm.
and how actors are expected to maintain a certain presence on social media. But I just wouldn't imagine that that floats well for everyone. How do you handle that?
Now
Yes. Well, how did you handle it in 2013? Because it wasn't so much of a thing, was it?
it
In your first year?
I remember having a healthier relationship with it when I first got here as opposed to the years that came after, because I would just kind of like look at it as like, oh yeah, cool, whatever. If I felt like putting something out, I would put something out and then not think much of it. And then it became like this like feeling of obligation, like I needed to, because then it's gonna give me, it validation or relevance or whatever it is. And now I literally, unless I'm like on a trip somewhere and I want to look back and say, oh, like I remember this trip, or if it's something related to my work, other than it, I don't share anything.
That's a great way of handling it. Now, I know I'm not the one that anyone should be listening to when it comes to social media. So, people out there listening, watching this, don't listen to Skylar when
Yeah.
anytime I
Yeah,
talk
yeah,
social
yeah.
media.
Yeah. I just think that it's like the new, for me, it's like yellow, like at least in this line, it's yellow pages. Like, hey, this is my work, this is my portfolio, this is kind of who I am, for me at least. You go to any, whatever IG or whatever, it's that's what I've kind of curated it to, is just like, hey, here's stuff that I've worked on and here's where I've been, you know.
In so many ways, sounds like a manufactured thumbprint
Yeah, sure.
that could be altered.
Yeah, I mean, that's one way of looking at it. I just look at it like, man, like I want my real life to be way better than whatever's on a screen, I want my relationships to be full and deep and real. You know what I mean? Like uh and there's a lot of peace in that. There's a lot of peace in, just for me at least, just like, being where I'm at. And the more I can go towards that, the happier I am. And that's just what works for me. Maybe that doesn't work for everybody.
The further time passes from this project that I made back in 2009 or 2010, the prouder I am of it, and especially when I look at where society is at today and where it continues to lean towards. One of the first shorts I've ever made was called, in 2010, yeah, it was called Fuck Facebook.
That's great. I'm
And
sure, yeah, you were just making what everybody was thinking and is still
they
thinking.
weren't thinking that at the time.
Now we are.
Yeah, they at the time, people were like, "Why are you saying fuck Facebook?" And I was just like, "Look, this I think I'm seeing this thing differently than most
Yeah.
people are."
Yeah.
So there's something I was curious about when just talking about social media, your first year, where it's at now, and the bit of I wouldn't say a shift in your career, but expanding in ways that you didn't predict before. How do you deal with feeling forgotten?
That's a great question. That's a great question. I know now that I am more concerned with hopefully leaving a positive impact with the people that I care about, and hopefully the people that I don't even know yet, more so than being forgotten, because I'm gonna be forgotten. And I'm so cool with that. I'm so cool with that. But if I hopefully left you a little bit better than how I found you, whether we ever met in person or not, that's enough for me now. And I honestly, honestly mean that, dude.
That's a great answer.
You know?
The reason why I asked that question too was I feel it's a question that we don't ask each other enough. And I feel in my experience in talking with people, it's a question that we don't even think about the first year because we're just trying to make our mark. And then once we start to get things and we start developing things, right? And things start to take off in certain kind of ways.
Yeah.
And then it's about managing success. But then when the phone we've all dealt with, the phone stops ringing.
My phone never rings, bro. So I've been, you know what I mean? Like my phone, I've had to make that peace with myself, man. And for me, it was that, you know, for other people, it might be something else. But, you know, I'm cool, bro. Like I used to say, like, why leave a mark when you could put a dent in the universe? I used to say that. And I used to feel like I was so profound. Oh. And now I'm like, bro, that was just all ego. Like, I'm literally today just trying to be a little bit better than I was yesterday. And some days I fail miserably. And some days I don't. But as long as I just keep going towards, you know, whatever it is that I'm going towards, like, I'm good with that, man.
Another reason why I absolutely love your answer is my ultimate goal is to leave this place a little bit better than what I found than what I found it.
That's it.
Now, I believe no matter what I do, this world will be a better place once I'm out of it. And that's just the way time goes. It's already here. Like I'm born in 1984. We're in 2024. This world is so much better than what it was.
Is. And that's crazy. You know, it's so great that you say that. I forgot his name. Oh, Peter Diamandis is his name. And I forgot what he's a part of. But I remember I was listening to this podcast and he was like, human history, like in human history, the quality of life has continuously gotten better.
Yes.
And it will continue to do that. And I think for us, you know, like I walked in today and you were like, I took some time off for my mental health. You think anybody was saying that 10 years ago, 5 years ago? No way. And you know what? My response to that was, I love that. I love that you did that. You know?
Right. 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Someone said that from where we're from. Like, I know exactly the word you're going to be called. Real quick,
bro. You will be your G card will be revoked, canceled, you know, in whatever capacity it is, man. You would get clowned so hard.
You know,
in the era that we were there, come on, bro.
The moment I realized things had changed in such a positive way, especially for the youth, is okay. I credit him. This is a name I never say, but it was the first time Tekashi 6ix9ine was on the Breakfast Club.
Wow!
Right.
I was not expecting you to.
Right. It was his first interview on the Breakfast Club that went viral before he got sent away, snitched on all his people and stuff. Right.
Yeah.
He said he was about to do a show. Mm-hmm. He was on the phone with Shotty. It's funny too because Shotty's doing 15 years because of Tekashi and because of things that he did. But Shotty was like, "Yo, you all right?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Okay, cool." And then Tekashi 6ix9ine said, "I love you." And he hung up the phone, right? And I remember hearing that, and I was like, I don't think the people just heard what I just heard.
Yeah.
A young man from Brooklyn told another man from Brooklyn that he loved him.
Yeah.
Like the only time I would see a a man tell another man that they loved him around where I'm from is when he was standing over his casket at the funeral. It's the only time I would hear another man tell another man that he loved him. And I was like, shit, the times has changed in such a positive way. But of course, like it's going to happen. I mean, this is just how
Hmm.
society again works. And I constantly try to remind people that when people think that things are worse than it's ever been, I was like, that's not true. And guess what? If you go 100 years ago, they were saying the same thing, but it wasn't true then and it's not true now. And so when we're looking at going back to LA, I feel where we sit now that LA is better than it's ever been. How do you feel?
For me, it's been great. I mean, the last, like, I think the longer you stay here, the better it is. Like, I was having this conversation 2 nights ago. Went to me and my buddy went to a birthday party, and I was telling somebody the same thing. I was like, I have, especially in the last couple of years, cultivated and met some of the coolest people and made
Why do you
some
think that
awesome
is?
relationships.
Let me cut you off. But why do you think that is? That in the past few years, you have met some of the coolest people. What changed in you? You feel, or was there a change?
A lot. A lot has changed. I mean, I don't look at this place anymore as like this, like, it's not for me or it's not against me. It's just it
Mm.
just is what it is, you know. And also, I'm more open to it, and I'm more at peace with myself. To be completely honest, like, I don't feel, if you look at, whatever my resume or body of work, it's not going to be as impressive as, some movie stars, but I don't feel the need to be validated by anything or anyone.
When we are in our first year, it's everything's a challenge.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
And then after that first year, we start getting our footing, and in LA had opened up to you in ways that you haven't
Yep.
that you didn't even see coming,
Yep.
right? And you allowed that to happen, which is a beautiful thing. But in year 11, what ways are you challenging yourself?
Professionally, personally, spiritually, which.
Whatever comes to mind.
Well, professionally, I mean, like I was telling you, I made first gen. That's basically I wrote, directed, acted, and produced a pilot, a proof of concept pilot that I'm using to pitch as a longer series. So professionally taking on the task of writing a narrative project has been super rewarding but super difficult, and then putting the logistics together all with that, and I did that all with under $10,000, and it's a 20-minute pilot, you know so doing all of that was a great challenge, and then promoting it, and submitting it to festivals and blah 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 blah, all that stuff, very challenging. I am still learning how to market a product that I made, because self promotion for me has not always been the easiest thing. Uh, it's kind of felt rooted in, like, shame, you know.
Why is that?
I think, because I know by nature I have a big ego, and I feel like that could, like, awaken that beast and, like, undo all of the work that I've done on myself, but I know now that it won't because I'm the one that will always humble myself, first. uh
So with the ego
yeah.
and self-promoting, is it fear if you put this energy into promoting something and it doesn't get the response that you want, that it hurts your ego.
The old way or the old me,
Yeah,
absolutely. But the new me,
yeah.
straight up, bro, it's about survival now. I know that the industry is not going to give me the opportunity. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but the data that I have of living here tells me that the opportunities for me are very limited, or they have been. Maybe that changes. Who knows? I can't tell the future. I know what I can control. I know my work ethic. I know that I have a lifetime of data that shows me that I know how to figure things out. That's all I know. That's literally the only place I get my confidence from, you know, is anything that I've had to figure out, I have figured out in my life, right? So I'm just taking that, knowing that is factual, and applying that to this. So, okay, fine. You don't want to give me an acting job? Okay, great. I'm going to write something, I'm going to direct it, and I'm going to allow myself to act in it. And so all of that has made me grow and challenge myself in every way, because I feel like my spiritual life is connected to my personal life, which is connected to my professional life. So all of these things are connected, you know?
Giving
So
yourself the answer to a problem.
yeah, and just understanding and knowing that all of the things, all of the quote unquote problems or answers that I'm seeking, I have all of them already. It's already here, bro. It's already here. It doesn't matter if it's spiritual, professional, or personal, you know? So it's putting faith and trusting my process, because I know all the time and energy and resources that I've put in, and all the shots that I've put up in the dark when nobody is looking, and knowing that eventually whatever it is that I'm going towards, that's going to come to fruition.
In writing, directing, starring, and producing your own project, how do you manage crew with that? The reason why I ask this question is I know when I'm working crew, and or I know someone who's working crew on a project, and they say they are working on a project that the actor wrote, starred, directed, and produced, there's always a face like, those are the nightmare projects. How do you have that in mind, that crew may think that? Is that a concern? Is that a worry of yours? Or do you possibly go out your way to make sure that they know, hey, this ain't gonna be one of those?
Oh, they know that off the rip, man. Because the first thing before I even come to you, I'm stress testing my script. I'm stress testing the hell out of the script before I even take it to anybody, you know? So here's what I want to do. Does this story make sense? And I'm going to people who are way better than me at writing, directing, whatever, producing than I was. And then when I went and I got, my cinematographers from the Bay Area, I shot most of it back in the Bay, right? I was very clear with, obviously sent them the script, very clear with what we're going for, give them the comps of what this is going to look like. Okay, so this is Rami meets Breaking Bad, let's just say. That's what First Gen essentially is. Those are the comps. And then discussing everything with all of the crew members before we even get on set, so we all know we're all on the same page. So the clarity, number one, and then number two, every day was fun.
Beautiful.
We just had fun, man.
Because not so much in the quality of the project that people are concerned with, it's that person wanting everybody on set to care as much about the project as they do, which I've always felt is a very unrealistic thing.
Yeah, no, I know. Listen, to me, I let people know with every project, man, because I told you I didn't have a big budget for it.
Right.
And I'm like, look, this is not going to make you rich. This is not going to, whatever. You're not going to be able to go to Bali after this, but you're going to have fun and you're going to be proud of the final product. So we took that final product that we shot in that weekend. We took it at to the first festival it was in here in LA. It's one of the leading independent web series / TV pilot festivals that's growing in the United States. We won the audience award there. People loved it. We took it to Chicago, Atlanta, New York. Everybody is proud of the work that we did there. And it shows because I do everything that I'm involved with. The first thing I'm putting into it is my love.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do things with love, you can't fail. It sounds so corny and so cliche, but I know that because I've made stuff with no money. This is the first project I actually put money into. The one I did before that was about my buddy Sage. It's called Sage. He's a painter who was a crack addict. And we did that with no money during the pandemic. And same thing, we submitted it to one, it was part of a short film competition. They had over 900 submissions from all over the world. And that got one of the North American People's Choice Awards. Not because I'm some special, no. It's because it was a insanely inspiring story of somebody who took themselves from the dirt and pulled themselves out. And all I had to do was just put a camera on the person and let them tell it. But everybody was involved. It was me, my buddy Simon, who's my cinematographer, and Sage, who's still one of my best friends.
Was that the whole crew that y'all had to make that project?
That was for Sage. For First Gen, we had one cinematographer, one sound, one lighting, one gaffer, and then my my cast. That was it, bro. Because at the end of the day, whatever was on that page was going to get executed with the time and the resources that we had. And that's only because I knew, okay, these are the resources I'm going to have. We're going to stress test this, and we're going to make sure that we could pull this off in 3 days. And we did. And we did. And for what we got, I will forever be proud of that. Forever. Because my whole thing is when I go into rooms, I'm like, I did this with nothing. As somebody who never wrote anything, I mean, I had written little like sketches here and there and little, whatever. But writing a full blown, basically a spine of what is going to be a series, I just picked the brains of people who have done it before.
Mm-hmm.
And I made sure that what was on there was going to get executed with the resource that we had in the time that we were allotted.
It's smart that it sounds like too that cut you off but you made sure to work within the budget that you had.
Bro, I'm not going to put my name on something and put my time and energy and bring you along for it to be whack. I'm not doing that.
But not only that, I'm just saying with the crew, because it sounds like crew's about 6 people. Yeah. And you didn't do something where you tried to get 30 people.
No, because I couldn't afford it.
Right.
I would love to. I felt bad, even though, we ate 3 times a day. We had crafties. Of course, we had all that stuff. We had a good time. But I was like, man, I told them all. I was like, man, thank you guys. I just kept thanking them. Thank you guys. Just thank you for being here. Thank you for just giving me your effort, your talent. Thank you. Because that's all I could, along with whatever I paid them. Like, it wasn't, their usual rate.
Right. But we all know, too, that there have been times where people will have a 3-day project on $10,000 and try to have a 30-man crew. A 30-person crew, I should say.
I don't know anything about that, but I was like, man, I'm not going to do that to people. You could be doing anything in the world. You could be any place in the world right now. But the fact that you guys came here for these 3 days, wake up, the ass crack of dawn to do this with me, and I'll forever be grateful to them,
Right. I always love to end it on this. If you can give any advice to someone who's thinking about moving to LA or is currently in their first year of LA, what would it be?
I don't know that I'm the best person to ask for advice, but if I could, do not do not internalize anything when things don't go your way, or if you feel like you keep failing and failing and failing, or whatever it is, like you're not getting what you want. Don't internalize that. Don't internalize the negative thoughts that come with that, because that's what makes people jaded here. Is that they've had years and years and years of pushback and pushback and resistance, and they've internalized it. So stop focusing so much on that result. Short steps, long vision. Short steps, long vision. Do what you can do, control what you can control, and get really, really, really intentional about what it is that you want to do, and just beat down on that craft. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter.
That's perfect.
Focus on that craft, and whatever results come from that, they will come. And that's what I've had to tell myself, and that's what's given me salvation and peace.
That was perfect. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, bro.
You.